Every single day, I'm gonna make something great. That's my way.
Smells like another wildfire to me. I don't know if you guys could see off in the distance, but normally the clear view of the mountain range over there is definitely hazy. You can smell it in the air for sure. You know, this summer has been definitely back to normal in terms of we didn't have any, I mean, compared to the previous summer where we had fire after fire, this summer was such a nice break from the smoke and the craziness. I don't know if that's what it is in the distance. I mean, we'll find out because I'm actually heading up there to that area right now. Probably not that far away, but you know, I was talking to my son because we were talking about earthquakes, natural disaster type of things. I don't know, does everyone talk to their son about that? He's just always interested in the volcanoes because we live right in between, in the valley between three mountain ranges, and we live south about an hour of Mount Shasta, which they predict could erupt at any moment, and we live about 40 minutes west of Mount Lassen, which had a huge eruption already. I don't know. I don't actually know when that was, but Mount Lassen already erupted, which is why the top of Mount Lassen is completely flat. So, you know, we're talking about earthquakes because there was a small one, but still an earthquake, about 4.5 in San Francisco, which is 4 hours south of us. And we have the threat of volcanoes. But really, what's been the most devastating and disruptive have been the forest fires. And when we moved out to California, you know, we were thinking, oh, we're moving to the Ring of Fire, earthquakes, you know, but we had no idea the devastation, or the primary issue with California is not earthquakes, it's forest fires. I mean, from the time we moved, every summer there have been so many. I mean, California's a big state, so I understand. Just geographically, it's going to have more of everything because it's a bigger state. But really, the amount of fires, it's just the perfect environment. The dry weather, super dry out here compared to the East Coast. I mean, that's one of the first things that we noticed as a family was how dry it was. The lack of rain. And just the random lightning storms that happen. Just this crazy recipe. Not to mention the stupid things people do that cause, or the accidents that happen that cause forest fires. But it's just been a surprise because that was the last thing. I didn't even, you don't hear much about it on the East Coast. Although car fire definitely made news on the East Coast, just because of the amount of devastation that it caused. So, just for you people watching around the world, California, the forest fires, the wildfires here are the real deal, and they cause a lot of damage. And I think that's the one thing that has just been the most disruptive for us. Not that we're complaining, I mean, Asia's getting hit with a major typhoon. The hurricanes recently devastated, the Caribbean. But, we've had our share of tremendous loss here in Northern California. Paradise City is the city that was completely gone. Completely gone. And that was PG&E. That was the local electric company. So now when there's any type of threat of a fire, PG&E now does rolling blackouts, which is causing a lot of people just, I don't know if that's the right answer. It is a solution. It's easy to say it when you're not the one without power, but recently they cut power for 2 to 3 days. And their reasoning was, active intervention to prevent forest fires. I.e. CYA, don't want any more liability. I think they're getting sued out the wazoo because of Paradise, because it was faulty wiring. But when you have a company like PG&E that maybe wasn't upgrading their infrastructure the way they should have been, which results in a fire, I can understand why they're a little concerned. So it's just been difficult all around. You have the actual fires, and then now even the threat of fire is causing, they cut, I think, power to 600,000 people all across the North State of California. That's crazy. And it wasn't just an hour or two, it was like 2 or 3 days. So, on the East Coast, we had hurricanes, and when hurricanes rolled through, our power went out. But this one was just the possibility, the threat of, and mostly it's just their aging infrastructure. Power lines, they're not taking care of the trees. Kind of makes me wonder, what am I paying for? What does my bill cover? But anyway, that was just kind of what was on the top of my head as I take an amazing cruise to Shasta Lake area. It's a beautiful drive by Shasta Lake. It's definitely chilly right now. But I'm bundled up pretty good, and I wasn't gonna miss an opportunity to take the bike out and head out. cruise. Saw my previous posts. I'm never in a hurry. Never trying to smoke by people. I just love to get out on the open road. I can definitely see why people get a throttle, whatever. What is that called? You know, cruise control for the bike. Whatever that's called. Because when you're going for miles and miles, it probably gets a little tiring. Here is Shasta Lake, and there's definitely a fire going somewhere. It is so smoky. Definitely something's going on. Oh, hello. Got a huge bug that exploded on my face shield. I forgot my glass cleaner. I usually always pack it in my bag when I'm jumping on I-5, but nope, didn't bring it with me. That sign just said watch for bicycles. What in the world? I wonder if they're having some sort of bike race. My exit is coming up. Only accessible from the southbound side. Guess you could call that because of the mountains we're in. If you've seen my channel before, you've seen me drive up to this place, but it's just a beautiful ride up. This part can be sketchy though, just because it's a lot of debris, a lot of gravel. Some of you have questioned the Vulcan S as a first-time bike just because it's not 250 cc's and it's 600, which is it's not an inline four. It's not a super sport. There's a good amount of grunt and torque. You know, it's a parallel twin. But I would say one of the reasons why I do recommend it is because power aside, and the power is very linear and very predictable, it's more the handling of the bike. The bike, because I got my license, I took my class, I learned on a 250, and so I was super intimidated, worried about the weight. I was worried about, was I going to be able to handle the bike? Was it going to be hard to steer? Was it going to be hard to maneuver? But really, the bike is very, very maneuverable. It's very light. I've said a couple times where when I was just first riding, I kept on braking with my front wheel turned, and everyone knows that's a disaster to lay the bike down, but I was able to keep the bike upright because the center of gravity is so low and it's so light. But more than that, just maneuvering and steering the bike, it feels like my 250. I mean, I'm not lying. Yes, I have a lot more experience, and I'm a lot more comfortable on the bike. So, of course, maybe I've just grown used to it, and people say that, But I would say even the thing I noticed when I test drove it was how easily maneuverable it was. I mean, it's very, very nimble, and it's very, very light. It's very confidence-inspiring. And so that's kind of one of the main reasons why I really feel like even new riders who have never ridden before, like me, can get this as their first bike and not worry too much about is it going to be too heavy? Is it going to be hard to maneuver? Is it going to be hard to steer? Because that was one of my biggest concerns. And I wanted something that was very streetable, very practical in the city, and the low-end torque makes that possible. But I wanted something that would be stable. Like you saw, jumping on the highway, and I am able to just go straight through that just because I'm on a motorcycle. How convenient. And it's very confidence inspiring. Like I have no doubt that people who have never ridden a bike before will have no problem just because of its maneuverability. I mean, it's so easy to steer. tell you how nice these gloves are. They're not even that expensive. I mean, they're not some high-end brand, but they are so warm. I've shared before, my pet peeve when I ride is cold hands. I can deal with my legs being cold, or some air around my neck a little bit. Cold hands, I can't stand it. I mean, some people hate sweaty hands. These definitely can get a little sweaty. I don't think they breathe that well, but I would much rather have a little bit of sweat than hands that are freezing cold. And these do the job really nicely. Hands are nice and toasty. I don't feel a bit of chill. On my hands, because I used to only have 2 pairs of gloves, a summer set, and then I had like a I guess you could call it like a fall spring type riding set, and I would take those out, and man, my hands would be just really cold. And I realized it's because that fall spring set, they're perforated. They have breathe holes in them, which I guess is great for breathability, but not when you're going 75 and it's a chilly day. So I went back and I bought these insulated gloves that have no perforation, no breathability whatsoever, but they're like snow gloves, But I mean, my hands don't feel a thing in terms of chill, which is what I want. I went and I bought those glove liners, but they just make your hands so bulky. You're pretty much wearing 2 gloves. And they worked as well with my fall set. Like, they're thin enough where I can actually double up. So I didn't want to have to buy another pair of gloves. I didn't want to have to buy I wear a medium. I didn't want to have to buy a large that I would only wear. It kind of defeats the purpose, because I can't wear that large glove unless I wear the liner. So I figured I might as well just buy a new set of gloves that fit well. It is so windy. A lot of buffeting. Granted, I'm not on a heavy bike, but thank God I'm not riding a little 250, or I'd be getting tossed back and forth. And just my highway dexterity isn't the best. I don't jump on the highway too often, so riding with sustained winds on my chest is something I'm not very used to. me just vent for a little bit on the California gas prices. All you California riders, I know that you know what I'm talking about. So right now, for regular, which is what, 87 octane here in California, all the prices are over $4. Over $4. Head on over to another state. I've seen prices as low as $3, so we're paying $1 more a gallon to live in this wonderful state of California. What are the prices everywhere else? What are the gas prices? I mean, I'm not that affected because I'm on the bike a lot, and filling up is not that big of a deal, which is all the more motivation to ride my bike all the time. But when I have to fill up my Ford Explorer, which gets, I don't know, 15 miles per gallon on a good day, I mean, it hurts. Because that's a 20-gallon tank. So it just sucks, the gas prices right now. And I'm sure it's just in California. I'm pretty sure all you other riders across the states are enjoying $2.50. So if I want to fill up premium, I mean, I'm looking at $4.50, $4.75. Kind of a joke, a cruel joke, that is. Is the city of Redding is so small, most of the time I could probably get by with just riding a mountain bike. So many trails, ways to cut through. But I'm too lazy for that. That's way too much work. Maybe if I was in shape. I do have a friend that bikes everywhere. I mean, they got cars, but I see him all over town on his road bike. It's his form of therapy and exercise, so I can understand that. And the great benefit is that you save money on gas.